This podcast has been brought to you by our Patreon account. After almost 4 years of producing free content in one way or another, we're finally opening up the doors for people to financially support us. For anyone out there that supports what we're doing, believes in us, believes in what we're trying to achieve, feel free to head over to patreon.com/XY Advisor. And second of all, we've finally converted our mainly dormant website into a membership site now. It is focused on training. You pay $49 a month. You get one credit to spend on the library of different training courses, and those training courses are constantly getting upgraded and constantly getting added to. We actually give half the money to the course providers because we value what they do. It's just a really good way for us to improve upon the financial advice community. So that's everything. Enjoy the podcast.
This session is also brought to you by Sunsuper. They're one of the fastest growing profit for members or industry funds in Australia. They were the very first of these funds to partner with advisors, and they've got functionality where you can actually link to your client's Sunsuper accounts and charge advice fees through the fund, as well as a number of tech innovations to make it easier for you to work with your clients. They've got great investments. They're really, really cheap. And their team are just generally legends. So if you haven't already connected with Sunsuper, give them a shout because they're doing some really cool stuff. So I hear every day in the office is like a school reunion for you, Shaky.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's probably a bunch of us from good old Lambton High back in Newcastle. Yep, representing. Woo. So I've had a number of friends from year 3 and in high school where they sort of knew I was part of this family business. Had a good mate whose surname was Williams, and when you got a surname like Shakespeare, another mate with a surname like Williams, you're going to get an idea of what sort of is going to eventuate in our conversations. And lo and behold, over the years, we sort of struck up a friendship where, we also went through university, and he was doing mathematics and finance and all the rest. And we started coining this name like, we could do this thing called Williams Shakespeare, planning or advice. And this would be really cool, really out there. And my father in the background, really successful with the financial planning side. And I think you could see that, hey, if this thing took off and you guys were really good, then I just want to block your move here. So what he's done is he's registered the name already. He's blocked our move in case we decide to pack up and leave. So thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad, for doing that. But and it's funny, now his brother's in the business. He's another advisor, Matty, and funnily enough, our accounting division was sort of born off the roof of a place on a New Year's Eve with another mate from year 3. And I said, he's a chartered accountant. I said, mate, you're working here as a chartered accountant. We've got this business. Why don't we start something up, separate accounting division? And it sort of all ran from there. And that's been operating now for another 9, nearly 10 years or so. We've got this just massive school reunion all the time. And then some of our clients are from school as well. So it's good fun.
Do you remember, who flushed who and stuff like that? I don't know if you did either of you guys get bullied a little bit? I got bullied a little bit at school.
I probably did. I didn't notice.
I don't think I got flushed, but I vividly remember like having to crawl under the, like a toilet with the doors, like trying to get away from some bully, and then there was a puddle of piss, and I've just crawled through it, and then I get up and I've got this massive wet patch, and the dude that was going to punch me just goes, that's even better, and just walks away. I was like, I'm just going to take the punch next time.
I forgot about flush. I forgot about how people used to get flushed. Oh, man.
The good old days.
The memories, yeah.
Oh, you can't do that anymore. You can't flush people.
Yeah, you can now video it now, can't you?
YouTube live stream or something.
Yeah. It's a lot more dangerous. It's like schoolyard stuff is heaps more dangerous. Like, because back in our day, and I hate saying that, like, because it makes it sound old, but it's true, like we got through our teenage years completely unrecorded, which is excellent.
Yeah, we were able to play Snake on our phones, so that was pretty cool.
Yes,
so,
at the later years,
Nokia, whatever, 3310s, whatever.
Hell yeah, represent.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, good fun.
So like the business is like 30, 40 years old the time that you join. Tell us about that. And obviously you've got your own take on advice and the things that you're doing, but how did you find that, coming in, finding your feet and then transitioning to the sort of advice that you want to do?
Yeah, so Yeah, so mum and dad started the business back in '76, and it was born out of the days of how financial planning went through its infancy, and then there was a lot of tied agents out there, and I guess Dad was probably he was at the forefront of trying to make it more holistic advice, very much that strategic advice into the '90s, and he always said to me, look, go out there, get a commerce degree. You might want to get into accounting. He was sort of never saying, come into my business. So I was never being groomed. Why am I here, Dad? Why'd you have me as a son? And that was good because I sort of, going through university, I remember the first term of our first semester of university, I was like just bumming around with mates. And I thought, okay, I better actually do some work now. And he said, well, come and do some work with me, paraplanning. And I found this paraplanning site. I thought, this is really cool. I'm starting to learn things like asset allocations and managing people's monies and doing some strategy here, very basic stuff. And I used to look at the guys who were writing the full SOAs and reports and thinking, man, I want to build up that sort of knowledge one day. They could just, at a flick of a switch, be able to work out how to do their strategies. And I found a real interest in that, and that was probably early 2000s. And then I found this niche in, I guess, investment analyst. I thought, no, I want to be an investment analyst. Studied that for a bit, and Dad, to his credit, sort of said, well, if you want to do that, follow your path, follow your dreams, and take off to Sydney. And so I did that, but. I think it was the glittery lights of, whether it was stockbroking or investment analysts, you think it's all this fun and games, and then you're just stuck in a room looking at spreadsheets. And it's like, I want to go back to seeing clients. So, look, I'm very grateful for a business that he was sort of already running, I guess, building towards that way. And then to have this new age slant on things with technology, fintech, in my days in Sydney, I was able to see other firms out there and work with them and sort of see what the good and the bad was in the industry. And it just collaborated really nicely when I came back about 10 years ago, back to the business. And at that time, my mates who were went through school with, they were actually starting the business as well. And we had a sort of very similar slant on the way advice should be, very, everyone says holistic, but, right down to stuff we're discussing today around, banking structures and, whether it's, investing could be paying down debt, so sort of that philosophy. So, I'm glad, grateful that, I guess, Dad had the sort of, I won't call it, I guess, morals, but that sort of view of financial advice should be wealth isn't always about money. Wealth isn't always about a super or shares. It's a whole number of things. So, it's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I have to give you credit for, we were collaborating when we were involved AFA back in the day. You're a previous Rising Star winner, so we'll chat a bit about that. But I still remember when the first time you showed me the cash flow modelling on Xplan, and this is like the time Clay's starting his business or recently started as well, and we're just sort of just sucking knowledge from pretty much anyone that would give it to us. And I still remember you come down to the office and, taking me through all these models, and like that's my business is built on that now, as we were chatting about just before over coffee. That sort of stuff is so valuable for people. And I don't know, I think long-term modeling is a complete wank. There's no real value in that. But the short-term stuff, and especially for the younger guys, or also for the retirees, as you were chatting about before, just so much value in giving them that certainty of what's going on and predicting, what or seeing what the options are for them. And I know you were saying that that helps you get your head around what the options are for them. I know that when I do it for people as well, that I don't know when someone engages with me, I don't know what their strategy is going to be. I don't even necessarily know what's going to be best, but when you map it out, it allows you to actually see that. And then, it's like you say, wealth is not just about money. The strategy is not just about the best financial benefits. So it's like you can see what the money looks like, and then what's not in the numbers, and then help people get that clarity, and it just gives them so much confidence to actually act. So
that modelling, it is clarity. It's black and white numbers. It doesn't lie. Assumptions are in there, which there's a bit of grey area with assumptions, but if you keep them pretty conservative, and as you said, it's a good way to start. Just a good way to start your own mindset. And okay, what are we going to do here with the client? Set it all out. What's the cash flow look like? And you sort of go from there. Yeah.
So what sort of was there much of a transition? I know you said your dad was pretty strategic with the sort of advice that he was doing, but did you find, that you had like frustrations or legacy issues or trying to transition into the sort of stuff that you wanted to, which is the next level strategy?
Yeah, probably like when I came back from Sydney to Newcastle, I was... one or two of the advisors left at the time before the GFC, and then I picked up their client base. So this person who's never advised in their life, but has got the theoretical. Okay, I've been teaching paraplanners and all that. I know my stuff. You'd think so, but it's a totally different world advising. Like
from paraplanning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strangely, because you're sitting there as a paraplanner, you're like, oh, I've got this.
Yeah.
I have got this.
Yeah, these guys do not know.
Yeah.
I'm way better than this advisor.
Yeah. This guy's just blabbing his mouth. I'm sitting there taking notes. Right, I'm writing the bloody advice here. I'm the real advisor.
This is me. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're a paraplanner. Get your name somewhere on the front page. You're like, that's right.
That's right. That's me.
right.
Yeah. I wrote this document.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. Everyone, mate.
Knew everything, and then you just fall into advising, and then you're dealing with real life situations. I think actually the first appointment that me and my mate from year 3 that we had jointly, it was I think my father said, or dad said, hey, you guys can step in on this appointment. In fact, I think he was getting a haircut at the time. He couldn't do it. Probably a massage or a haircut at the time. So you guys jump into this. And first meeting, and Michael will attest to this as well, this lady just started bawling in front of us. And oh my God.
No paraplanning skill has kept me up to date with this. Why didn't I do the Kaplan course in dealing with people to cry?
That's it. Oh, so what an intro to advice.
Wow, man. How did you handle it?
Well, first, a box of tissues, of course. Yeah.
Oh, God. No rookie.
In there. I can't remember what she was crying about. Hopefully not just seeing us, but
investment returns.
This is pre-GFC just.
Oh, right. Okay.
But yeah, it would have been.
I've only made 12% this year.
Right. Yeah. My mate's getting 20.
Yeah.
I think it might have been she might have lost a partner or something like that. So it could have been. I can't recall. I have to ask my mate, but that was the intro into advice and baptism of fire, wasn't it? Yeah. But in terms of the firm was already leaning towards that strategic sense, environment, and I'm probably a little bit nerdy in that I like to just like really drill. Like I came to advice going, okay, if I was the client and I had no idea what financial planning was, what would I expect from my advisor? And straight away it's things like cash flow, banking structure, things like super and insurance were sort of last thing on my mind. They're important from our point of view, and risk management and all the rest, and just cleaning things up and long-term wealth and retirement. But from me as that was late 20-year-old then, and it was like, okay, we can't just provide that as advice. There's got to be something a lot more deeper, a lot more engaging. So clients are emailing me. I have a client last night who emailed me and said, hey, before I go on this trip in September, I really want to buy this SLR camera. Can I afford to do it? And she's retiree. I said, if there's anything, you want to have experiences, you want to relive those moments for years to come, get your bloody camera. So it's that sort of engagement. And I think we found it really started on the non-traditional financial planning aspects. It's had nothing to do with shares or super or insurance. It was all those both intangibles, but also just where the rubber hits the road around the banking structure, cash flow, giving people confidence to spend and live out their days in retirement or knocking down debt, etc. So. And I think the clients felt then over the years that they knew you were on their side. As a new advisor coming in, I looked like I was 13 years old back then. So
you've upgraded. You look 15 now.
Yeah, but those poor clients coming in GFC years, you can imagine it. we're down these returns, and here's my Doogie Howser advisor coming in. Hey guys, and look, over the years they've become my best clients who are now referring, and I think they know that you're really on their side, and I think that's the way. If there's any lesson for young advisors out there, just you're pretty much just going to put yourself into their shoes, and that's the way you should advise. Just putting yourself in their shoes, the way you want to be advised yourself. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, and the business has been built around that. We've still got a lot of work to do, of course, but we're getting there.
Yeah. So you won the Rising Star award back in, what was that, 2014?
No, I think it was like
13?
2010.
Oh my God,
Something
you
like
are old.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
So what did that do? Did you see that have a flow-on impact to the business?
Yeah, probably. Look, because there's a number of advisors in the business, it's hard to sort of the magnitude on financials and clients and all that. But I noticed on my own little pod of clients and team that it did have an impact, both for my existing clients to sort of have the confidence to both refer or stay with me as the advisor. There was a huge injection of, I guess, confidence there. But also probably a lot of self-confidence to go, okay, the things that I've been doing that sort of felt left field from what others were doing, maybe this is what we were meant to do in the first place. So it was a lot of self-confidence that I took out of it. And from there, that when you're self-confident, you then seem to attract bigger and better things with clients. So I started getting some really chunky or meaty clients with multiple entities and being able to model for multiple entities, how to summarise and all that, and some really strategic stuff in there. So that was also another like an extra learning experience for me in how to not just advise, but also how to implement strategies. I think that's what a lot of paraplanners, in my day, a lot of paraplanners don't get. They don't get how to implement a lot of these strategies and put them in place, and you got to line things up and make sure it all correctly. So,
did you have a mentor or self-taught?
No, I'd say, I'd say Dad's been probably my primary mentor on things, on things like even like charging,
Yeah.
I'm one of those ones, probably like young advisors. It's like, how do you actually broach the whole fee conversation? And
yeah.
And even when I've had tricky scenarios, just to be able to go to Dad and say, hey, how would you have approached this? So he's probably been easily my mentor through the paraplan years and the advice years. And then I think the beauty of the team we've got is that we've got young and old advisors in the mix as well. So they've all brought different parts of what they've been used to, if they're in the aged care space or if they're in the Centrelink space. And it's like, John, how did you deal with this situation? And but yeah, my main mentor has been Dad, quite easy. He hasn't paid me to say that, but he has quite easily been my main mentor. And then I had some great managers when I was at MLC or 360 that's, I think, when you're in that corporate scene, having good managers behind you that can sort of lift you through and keep you pursuing what you want to do in your dreams in a corporate structure, there were some good mentors there as well, yeah.
And how many advisors you got in the business now?
Yeah, so I think it's about 6 or 7.
It's decent.
Yeah, so and it ranges. Like some are investment focused only, and I don't do aged care, so we've got a couple of aged care advisors in there because I'm
a few old people in Newey.
Yeah, it's a few old people. They're hanging on by a thread. Yeah, about 7. Yeah.
Cool. That's a decent. And how big was it when from when you came back from Sydney?
Yeah, it's probably about 20. No, it's gone downhill since then. I think it was actually, to be honest, it would have been like 5 or 6.
Okay.
So it hasn't changed too much.
Yep.
I guess that's Dad's influence around, keeping a lot of expertise in house, which means a lot of advisors. And it is a pretty chunky business in that sense, but we do try to operate our own little niche pods within the business as well. So there's that individuality. If we want to sort of break away and focus on one part, like as I said, aged care advice, then we can actually build that in and not just sandbagging people's aspirations if they want to do something in particular. So we want to keep that sort of dynamic sort of feel to the business as well. So everyone's not just getting you got to follow that this way or the highway. You just got to. Yeah.
And so when with your clients, I know you work across a fairly broad spectrum of clients, from the younger guys up to retirees, business owners as well. But is there a focus? Like, would you? Is there a particular area that you specialise in more for yourself?
Yeah, my preference in terms of attracting clients would be that sort of 45 age bracket upwards. So whether they're business owners or PAYG employees, that's my favourite bracket to deal with, because there's so many variables at play. There's knocking down debt, building up towards your retirement, and then they're trying to manage the whole lifestyle thing as well, around taking the kids to Disneyland and things like that. That's sort of, so you're really thrown in the mix there. But as you know, as young advisors, you sort of attract those clients that are plus or minus 7 years your age. So
yes,
which I love dealing with, because I can see that these clients you'll be holding their hand for a longer term and gradually building them up. And they might be, I won't say loss leaders initially, but they might be lower profitable clients initially, but they're often my best clients and my most interesting clients as well. And there's so much going on in their lives, whether it be starting families or whether it be buying first homes or wanting to progress up that wealth ladder. So they're my most fascinating clients. But I also like the age 45 plus guys there. So that's what I try to attract as a business. But and also they probably, in that bracket, they probably also appreciate advice more, and they're willing to pay for fees, because they've either tried and tested it themselves before and it's failed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas your 20-year-olds and young 30-year-olds, whatever, they're like, they've never seen an advisor before. They don't know what a good one is or what bad, or they've never tried to do their own advice before. And
definitely, yeah. There's a lot of education involved. I feel like that's what all my clients are, like late 20s to late 30s, the vast majority. And when you haven't had an advisor before, or you're just at that stage where people are starting to think about money and thinking like, I should be an adult now, I should do something smart. They probably haven't had that experience to say, well, shit, I can't actually do that myself. Like, oh yeah, I thought about doing it, and then I didn't do it for a year, and then I didn't do it for another year, and then I did some stuff, but it just failed pretty good.
But check out my Acorns account, $500.
Yeah, look at me. Yeah, ING direct card.
Yeah.
So how do you charge? You talk about pricing a few times.
Yep. So pretty much run it through. Look, initial advice is just run through a calculator internally, and it's all based on complexity of the client situation across, if it's the super, the modelling, if it's banking structure implementation. We're just grading clients in terms of complexity. So it's like a 1, 2, 3 system.
Yeah, right.
So it makes sense to us, makes sense to clients. You are what you are. If you're complex, you're complex. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And we do the same with respect to ongoing advice as well. So, I've got a big thing around with client value propositions, which is like a bit of a bugbear of mine. I cringe when I hear client value propositions that are like, you pay this because you get this newsletter and you see me twice or 5 times a year or something like that. And to me, the client's value sort of, being able to tap into you at any moment, or email, phone calls, or having that face-to-face meeting to address not just the reviews. So.
But have you seen the Pivot Wealth newsletter though?
That is worth $1,000 a month.
At least.
At least.
And
Always
giving it as a
gems.
huge discount.
Yeah.
Huge
The
discount.
meaning of life. That's going to be the next issue.
Yes.
Special
I
edition.
have to subscribe. I have to pay for it, I guess.
Well, you're brand new to the Facebook group, so
So
next stop on the list, mate.
cool. I can actually tap into it, can I?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so with the ongoing stuff, it's all about complexity of if someone's I always think that if I get an email off a client that's got companies and trusts and self-managed super funds, it's a vastly different energy that I have to consume to be able to give advice back than someone who's just got super in a debt, or in the early stages advice piece. So hence I charge that way based on strategic complexity, but also on investment portfolio management. If we're managing wealth, then it's based on complexity of portfolio management. And for clients, it gets away from this whole thing. Oh, look, I don't want to be on package A. I don't really value your extra meeting each year. It gets away from that. It gets to the point of clients are just they are who they are. If you don't want to, you can't argue against who you are. If you're complex, you're complex. Unless you want to simplify everything, but. And naturally, obviously, the high complex clients generally need 2 to 3 meetings a year, like pre-30 June and post-30 June meetings and all that. So it's sort of naturally they get more meetings anyways in the mix or conversations with them.
Yeah. So your fee you charge fixed fees. Your comm on insurance.
Yep.
And do you charge asset fees?
So we do like a hybrid with asset fees. We do like a fixed and floating, fixed and small floating. So we do that like for a number of reasons, but there's a certain amount of work you do each year, no matter what. So that's one reason why we've got the fixed part of it. The floating part of it is more so to guard against a $10 million client versus a $100,000 client. I guess there's different risks and implications between the two. So therefore, we have a lower percentage-based fee just to guard. I guess we can call it a risk-adjusted fee in a way. And that's only on funds under our management. Obviously, I've got clients that could have, I'm only doing strategic advice for them, and there's no fund. The advice is to guys just to knock down debt or to build up your own investment property portfolio that you guys are managing yourself. So obviously, there's no percentage-based fee there. That's all just our strategic charge is all fixed dollar fee-based. Yep.
So, and where are you getting your clients from?
Existing clients.
Okay.
Yeah, easy.
All referrals.
Yeah. It's in fact, my client service manager, Alicia, keeps going, which is in a good way. She's like, another referral, and in a sort of not a bad way, but like,
terrible.
Where am I going to fit in the calendar?
Oh my God, inbound leads. Hey, so is that a part of your conversation? Is that a part of, or is it just happening organically? Or?
Yeah, I'm the worst at having that conversation.
Yeah, I sucked at it as well.
Yeah, I still do. So
what do you say or do, or do you just?
I think that one of the key things is actually letting them know that I have got capacity to accept referrals. So if there's any, that's probably the limits to my
smile and then go, ding?
That's right. Yeah.
I am open to more business.
Ding, ding, hint, and a wink.
Yeah, I have capacity.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of clients out there that often they think that if they're giving you a referral, they might be wasting your time. Or wasting your time is probably not the right word, but they might think, do you have the ability to take on more work?
Yeah.
So it's trying to just break down that misconception, wrong perception, I guess. And the ways we do it, like we try to, recently we've brought, underneath myself and my other key advisors, like an associate advisor underneath that can do the legwork we were doing around modelling and banking structures and, insurance analysis, etc., that they can take care of that. So that frees us up immensely. But the referrals are coming from existing clients. We do some advertising around Newcastle, of course, and it's more just brand advertising to say, hey, this is us. We are still around. But existing, I prefer existing clients. In Newcastle, it's a lot easier to do, I'd say, because of. Hopefully it's the same in every place, but we find once you pick up a little nest of clients, it's sort of just really, it's like a tree. You got the branch and it just splits off into another.
Do you do client events?
Yes and no. So we used to be big on those in the early days when I was building up my client base around cash flow, banking structure, management and all the rest, and self-managed super funds and what they are. I've probably personally dropped off from doing that a fair bit, and that's maybe because I'm finding I'm receiving the client referrals organically. But back in the initial stages, I was doing them. We were doing them as a group. We'd probably do them now as more of a service part of the business. Like if we've got portfolio managers, or if we want to talk about super and self-managed super fund and properties, or if there's some specific thing with legislation coming up, then we'll run those seminars. But apart from that, we this is the sort of things we need to get better at as a business. There's always stuff we want to be better at, and that's probably one of them, to make sure we've got that those formal engagement. When we have done them in the past, we try to do them at nice locations in Newcastle that are, like a medical research institute near the main hospital, that people can just, like, there's a bit of a interest in it as well, and have like a lifestyle speaker there as well, around a cardiologist or something like that speak, and or a researcher. So, and tying that in with maybe an economist in there as well. So if we do it, we try to make it more of a bit of a fun thing. So
yeah. And why do you do advice? Like, what's the thing that, because you spoke before about, stockbroking and spreadsheets, and I guess the easy answer is, I like to help people and I like to speak to people, but what's the thing that you love about advice the most?
Yeah. I probably, in the early days, I probably said, well, what else do I want to do? I hate anything medical, because I'd probably just faint anyway. So,
dude,
well, you couldn't get any paler, at least.
That's right. Yeah. Is he fainting? I don't know.
No, I'm permanently like this.
That's it. Yeah, thanks.
Good to have you on.
I didn't know I was going to get a rip in you. Yeah. So that struck that out, and you look at sort of solicitors and that sort of, there's a lot of negative industries, I guess.
Whereas financial advice is so positive, you thought you'd just jump all right in.
Well, and that's the weird thing about it. And I guess is that the kind of the point that
pretty much, yeah.
It's sort of the best thing to do, like out of all the professional services.
Yeah, well, you're dealing with a lot of. It's very broad. Like as I said, we had a first appointment with a lady crying.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with sort of emotional family matters through to someone wanting to go on holidays, or someone trying to just save for or start a family. So it's so broad. I just can't think of any other industry out there.
It's such a dynamic job.
Yep.
From one meeting to the next, and from different clients, different ages, and I guess in a lot of ways, XY exists to get those stories out, because it's so weird. Our industry is going through the Royal Commission at the moment, and really hoping for things to get better. I don't really hear any advisors too much complaining about what's going on, because everyone agrees. We all want the whole industry to improve, and as these guys are making the decisions, I really hope that they pay attention to the outstanding dynamic of financial advice, because I think ASIC and whoever think that advice is the SOA.
Yeah.
And I think they still think that advice is the investment returns. Yeah. And I just hope, because advisors, right, when we all get together and chat, we know what advice is, right? And yes, we giggle about someone laughing, but at the time, my God, like when you're in that moment, the last thing you're doing is laughing. You're sitting there and you got the tissues and you're asking what happened and how can, you don't go into solution mode straight away, right? Yeah. Like advisors, we have such a responsibility, and it's going to be interesting to see where advice goes to in the years ahead. But I suspect that it's going to be people learning from conversations like that we've had today.
Yeah. I mean, what a lot of people outside the industry, and also ASIC, etc., with SOAs, they don't see. You got the accountability piece that we provide, the objectivity. Often when you got a husband and wife in the room, and this is the first forum they've had to be able to discuss some of the matters at hand, or what they want to do. You sort of that, to provide that objectivity, a third-party person who looks at it on a, without having any bias between one or the other. But also like the organisation side of just organising people's lives. There's some people that are in a mess, a massive mess. We're not just talking things like super consolidation, but just even like banking structure, or just they've got no strategic direction. They're just floating along, going, "I'll just get paying down the debt." that's pretty cool. I don't know if this is the, I don't know if this is making me happy or content, but everyone else seems to be doing it. So
that's it. Yeah, it's that inertia that's so common for people. That it's just like the battle between the urgent and the important, where it's like the emails coming in, and then you end up in the YouTube void, watching cat videos, and then it's like financial, like my financial future. Oh, dang, that's tomorrow's issue, and people are just stuck. They just keep doing what they're doing and missing these opportunities to get ahead. So pushing people forward, obviously a massive benefit. Couldn't agree more with it. With couples and getting people on the same page with their strategy. I know that's, for my clients, the younger guys, it's that when they first get together with their partner and actually get aligned in what they're doing, and then you've got all the wheels sort of turning in the right direction. So so dynamic and so many aspects.
I just don't know any other industry out there that does it. Like it's so if anyone comes up with anything, post it on the Facebook page.
Awesome, man. Well, how can people, are you open to chatting, or is there anything that you're looking to do or promoting, or what's going on?
Yeah, I was just saying to Ben before, I've been a couple of young kids and everything else, probably just been in my own little hole up in Newcastle for a bit the last 5 years, which has been nice just to concentrate on the business and, family life. But yeah, I've recently joined the Facebook page finally. Yay!
Everyone send him a wave or
send me
on there.
That'd be cool. I'm more than open to. I love sharing, and if anyone saw back in 2010 when I was on the with Rising Star Award, but hopefully people, if anyone saw the workshops and that I love sort of sharing what the future of financial advice. And I think there's so many other stories out there. I mean, I just have a certain take on how to approach things, but I'd imagine there's so many other ways that people are approaching things at the moment. And I think the beauty of our age segment is that, we're very open to going down these paths, where we are questioning, the way it was done in the past. Is that the right way to do things, or is there a better way of doing strategy or providing value to our clients? So, so I'm open to having a chat. I'll probably my email address is on there, or comments, whatever it may be, or forums.
Yeah.
So
hit him up for modelling. He's a good teacher.
Yeah, it's it. Yeah, financial modelling, that is. Yeah. Both. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, skincare.
Well, mate, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
cheers.
Cheers, mate.